We got the first 5 discrepancy signal in 2 games today. A ton of opportunity on today's card. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
Welcome to the closing line. Last week to start the show, I brought up 3 characteristics that you need to be a good sports bettor. Discipline, emotional control, and analytical skills. Pretty obvious, right? But I forgot one. You need to be obsessive. That's a trait my dad gave me. I'm very thankful for it. And I'm completely consumed by my obsessions. And whether it be good or bad, some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. I think it's one of my strongest traits. And I put in the work to take massive strides to improve my process recently. And it's funny how these cycles work, especially my gambling cycles, looking at myself, critiquing myself, my own process. My upswings are jubilant and glorious. Then the downswings begin. My initial response is that of a loser, to be quite frank with you. Almost a state of depression, which is quickly followed by an unrelenting focus to get back on track. I'm down 20 units in this MLB season thus far. It's a mix of variance, bad decisions, and the Yankees. But we bottomed out. We've hit a little bit of a V-shaped recovery, up 11 units over the past 2 days. And it's reminiscent of my bankroll blitz, my NFL season from 2024 that I did here at with Pub Sports Radio, from down 30 units to up 30 units in just 2 months' time. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. But this show, the work I've given out on the closing line, we're easily clearing double-digit units in the black. Last week, plus 1.8, last week, Thursday, plus 1.8 units. We had the Phillies, we had the Blue Jays for 2 units. We had the Knicks, the Celtics, minus 6.5 was a loser. We doubled up on the T-Wolves and the Nuggets under first half full game. And just going back, 428 plus 1.97 units, 423 plus 4.37 units. April 21st, down 1.30 units. That was my only losing week day thus far on this show. And we're just killing it. Let's keep running. My record, by the way, those numbers do not include NHL. And I always kind of preface my NHL caps with, hey, take it easy. I'm putting pizza money on it. I'm not unloading a $400 unit like I am in the MLB. And some people probably scoff at $400 units, but I'm getting there. And I've taken a little bit of a step back here recently. Let's get going, though. It's time to get back on track. Let's see who's in chat, running with me. Dirty Burrito, Chris Guy, my boy. Thank you for joining. Dizzy Donut, Hurt, my guy. Good to see you in chat. I know he's looking at the Rays today. He looks at that Blue Jays lineup and he thinks it's soft. And it's hard to disagree with him. And I think that's why we're seeing the line move towards the Rays and towards the under. Can't wait to talk about that spot. Mr. Sparkle, what's up, brother? I think this is the first time I've seen you in my show. Welcome, man. Welcome. All input is welcomed with open arms. Iron sharpens iron. I want iron in my chat. I want iron in the chat, because that's how we're going to get better. One step at a time, 1 inch at a time. So let's get into it, actually. Let me get this back open. My Excel and everything just crashed on me. My Microsoft Word, all my lines. All right, let's get into top set. Jesus, man. He's sitting at the 2-5 top set, my guy. One day, brother, we're going to have to sit down and play a cash game together, not against each other. Maybe we could do a little collusion together, take advantage of some fish at a 2-5 game. It'll be probably the best time of my damn life. I miss those days. All right, let's get to it. Wager Detective, my boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see you putting in work, Wager. I see you putting in work. All right, we can't waste any more time. We're 5 minutes in. We got a lot of games on today's card, including a full MLB slate. So let's dive into it. First game up, we got Tigers and Red Sox. And right now, to no one's surprise, we're seeing a ton of cash and bets. 76% of bets per Action Network on Detroit, 74% of cash. But if you look at Odds Logic, you're seeing a lot of bets, 75% of bets. But the sharp action is fading, them coming in on the Red Sox. Tigers opened minus 194, and we've seen over a 30-cent move towards Boston. Just a massive, monumental slide on this line. The total opened at 8. It's up to 8.5, as you can see on the screen. And to be quite frank, like, home teams do not perform well in this market environment historically, particularly when the game is out of division. Here's the filter progressions for the home team's money line: 63%, 58%, 53%, 46%. The deeper you go into this profile, this market history, the worse it looks for the home team. So someone would say that, hey, this line has moved too much, there's no value on it. And I would say that's not true at all, because every move that we've seen in this market has been favorable for the Red Sox. Now, that doesn't mean I'm on the Red Sox, and I'll talk about why. And actually, I'll just get into that right now. The Tigers in this market type in 2025, last season, they haven't played a game in this market type this season, but last season, they were 4-1. And the 4 wins were by 10, by 10, by 8, and by 6. So we've seen the Tigers in the market. They're a little bit of an outlier. They're the caveat to this market. And I don't want to step in front of that, because I've noticed that, these team-oriented, the team-specific profiles in certain markets, you learn a lot. So this is a situation where I would say this opening line is really where I should be looking, not necessarily the line movement itself. And if you go back to that first progression, the first filter, the open between -210 and -180, guess what? The home team is still is winning 63%. I mean, we're talking about break even. You're still losing money betting the Tigers, but I'm not looking to do that necessarily. Bayo, whatever you want to call him. 6 starts, he's got an 8.06 xERA. He's bottom 5% in pretty much all expected metrics, from xSlug, xBatting average. He's terrible. His K rate's down 5%. His walk rate's up 3%, and his barrel rate's almost doubled year over year. And I see that, and I'm looking for a reason to back him. Yeah, Jimmy the Bag implanted a poisonous sickness in my head to think that way. Literally, the only good metrics you could look at Bayo and say he's got a good ground ball and a good whiff rate. So when he gets into jams, he can get out of traffic, but it hasn't been happening this season. And this Tigers lineup has absolutely mashed this guy. So it's really hard to want to back Boston. Then you look at Valdez. Boston's actually up to 17th for his left-handed pitching this season. I should say over the past 2 weeks, their league average. But we know how bad this Boston offense is. Both bullpens are pretty heavily taxed. But this has to be a Boston or pass. The only reason I can't bet Boston in this situation is just looking at that Tigers team-oriented profile, how they've absolutely smashed the steam. When they get steamed as big favorites, when they basically when the sharps are fading this team and they're big favorites, they still bring home the bag. So I can't get in front of them. Wager detectives leaning Red Sox, yes sir. I'm a Kyle Kerms germ. Well, come on, fucking stick over here. Hope to see you in the show, man. I'm very happy. You were in all the bankroll blitzes, I feel like, and added a ton of value. Love to see more of that. What's up, AOD, my boy? Yeah, we got a good little squad in here right now. Ronnie Lofton, didn't see you in here. Jermaine, my guys, yes sir. Come on, man. Let's get it. Let's keep running. We got the Blue Jays and the Rays. Blue Jays are a team. I feel like both these teams. Teams I can't really seem to figure out. We've seen a ton of cash coming in. All the bets, all the cash is coming in on the Rays, and it makes a lot of sense why. You see the lineup. Go look at the lineup. No Vladdy. They're sitting guys. Their offense has been lifeless even with him in the lineup. So it makes a ton of sense to see all this action and this massive monumental move. We're seeing another big move, 10 to 20 cent move towards the Rays, depending on what book you're looking at. Circa and Pinnacle were flat early in the morning, and as soon as they started moving, literally every book followed suit. Started moving the lines with them. And that's the thing, is like, I just think about the liquidity in this marketplace and how it doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is where the sharp books and where they're moving. Like, all the rest of the market's going to adjust with them. It doesn't matter how much action they have at their book. And that tells me that, my process, it actually, it leads credibility to my process and looking at the market history, which in this spot, both the side and the total profile is minus EV. Basically, you're losing to the juice virtually any bet you make in this spot. The line has moved a little bit too much. So that's just talking about market history. And if you want to look at the very small, minute samples, we're talking about 15-game samples, because a total that opened and closed under 8 in division in this price range with this big move, yeah, it's probably moved a little bit too much. But I don't have enough history to be able to lay into that. Rasmussen, I faded him successfully in his last start. He's been untouchable at home at the Trop. Toronto, league average first right-handed pitching, and then Gaussman, a guy I cannot get right. I cannot get this guy right. When I bet on him, he gets shelled. When I fade him, he throws a gem. 7 starts, 0.96 whip, 3.36 ERA. Pretty impressive numbers, but even with those numbers, he doesn't have the ceiling most pitchers do with these underlying metrics. And he has terrible numbers against Tampa Bay, which I was pretty shocked to see. Usually I'm champing at the bit to try to bet a divisional game of this caliber. However, both teams to me have been a little bit unpredictable. And the market history is really showing no value to be extracted in this matchup. I'm going to have to pass on this one, but I have a ton of action coming up on this card. Anybody on this game? Spoons, what's up, brother? Good to see you. I've been so locked in, I haven't even been able to check my guys' action like I usually do. I usually have a process where I like to see, once I put in my work, I put in my handicap, I start looking at where everyone else is at to see, basically how the market's responding, where my guys are at, basically the guys who I believe are movers and shakers in this industry. And Spoon is definitely one of them. I think he has a different approach than most people, an approach that I respect. And I like his knowledge of the game. I like to hear it. So I always reference me some Spoon when I'm looking at the MLB. All right, let's keep running. Yeah, I wanted unders here. Yeah, I do see some value on the under in that game at this point. This big line movement with the total so damn low is telling us that the pitchers are going to actually perform in this spot. And that makes a ton of sense based on the matchup itself. Okay, let's make sure we didn't go too far. We got the Phillies and the Athletics up next, and we're seeing a lot of cash coming in on the Phillies, and people are starting to back Philly like they're the Philly of the old, right? The Philly of the past few years, which might be true to some extent because they're on a 7-2 run their last 9 games. And we're seeing a ton of 80% of the bets and 41% of cash on the over. I found that to be extremely interesting and something I wanted to attack. And that's exactly what I did, because if we go through the progression of this market history in this environment, the under profiles 65% plus from L3 to L5. We're talking about 60 plus game samples, 3 of them that all have 65% hit rate towards the under. Even despite the move to the over, actually, if I plug in the filter that the line moves towards the over and closes 9.5, that only makes the profile stronger for the under. 14-2 to the under in that sample, small sample, but 14-2 to the under with the market moving towards the over. It's counterintuitive, and that's why I built the database to exactly find these spots like this, to know that this line moved towards the over. It's only offering me more value, not less value. The home team in this situation, in that last one with the market moving towards the over, market moving towards the home team in this price range, 12-4 straight up, 10-6 on the run line. And I actually like this spot because the Athletics team-oriented profile has been awful the past 2 seasons in this spot, and they've played a ton to the under. In 24 and 25, they're 1-4 straight up, 5-0 to the under, with an average of 5.8 runs. I love that. And I love the market. I think it's all aligning, and I look at the matchup, and I like that as well. Severino gets blown up at home. We know that. But any pitcher that plays for the Athletics, you have to adjust the metrics slightly because they pitch at home, a AAA ballpark. And Severino's been night and day when he's at home or on the road. He's not a pitcher with elite upside necessarily. His fastball and his cutter are secondary pitches. He leads with off speed. I don't like that as to be a power pitcher and to be in the elite category, but I do think he's above average. At Philly versus right-handed pitching, the past 2 weeks is 28th in WRC plus. Sanchez, 7 starts, 1.51 whip, and this surprises me. I see a 1.51 whip. I'm trying to associate that with more of a 4.5, 5 ERA, xERA, but we're not seeing that. His xERA is still 3.38, and it just tells me that he does have elite stuff, right? His chase, his whiff rate, his ground ball rate, all of those numbers are in the elite category. He's great with traffic on the base paths, and it's a pitcher that I want to back. The Athletics are 7th versus left-handed pitching over the past 2 weeks with 115 WRC plus. However, they are 25th on the road against left-handed pitching this season. So away from that AAA home ballpark, they've been terrible. Both bullpens are pretty fully, I think they're fully available. I know there was a little bit of usage for the Phillies yesterday's game, 1-0 game that I was on the wrong side of. I had the over, 1-0. So yeah, not even close. But I'm on an under in this game. I got the under 9. Let's see what number you can get right now. You could probably get a 9.5, but you're going to have to eat some juice. And just seeing the margin. Wait, this is tomorrow. Sorry, guys. Let me get over to the right. I want to see where this line is. 9.5 minus 122 to the under. there any good 9.5s out there? There's not. There's still 9s available. I got the first 5 under 5 at -125. So I don't got a great number on the under. And I do have a little Phillies Cubs money line parlay, which it's hard for me to recommend any money line parlays, but I do believe this one cashes. I believe it does profile as plus EV. And we'll get to that Cubs game here in a minute. I agree. Under 9. Let's go, wager. Let's go. Mr. Sparkle, man. You know, I've been going through the ringer when it comes to the MLB. And a lot of that has to do with the Yankees, but they did get me some cash back this weekend. It was so important. I basically put 11 units back up on the board. I bottomed out that V-shaped recovery. It's so important for me to win. I'm highly focused. I'm highly motivated. And in my groove, I believe. So let's get it. We got the Marlins and the Orioles, and this was something I posted last night. I did post something on X as it relates to a CLV cash, a CLV grab. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at where lines open, and historically, how often does it move towards the home team? How often does it move towards the road team? And how big is that move? And when I put this in the database, it was clear that I had to move on the Marlins. And I moved on the Marlins last night, -118. I added to it today, -122. And this line just kept moving. It's over -130, pretty much market wide, -138 at the book I would be entering into my database. And this game profiles in a tight cluster where it was basically just looking at the open, not looking at the close. At -130, where I was, roughly betting it, I got a way better price. The break even is 57%. So I knew I was getting value with a tight cluster between 57 and 60%. But home teams that close between -150, -130 in conference after a line moves towards them, or no, out of conference when a line moves towards them, 58 and 40, 59%. The break even is right around -150 in this spot. And if the move was greater than 15 cents, like it is in this spot, 23 and 12 straight up, that's 66%. And there's a caveat to this one too, because the Orioles have performed well in this market type, but so have the Marlins. Marlins at home this season with 50% more of the bets, 7 and 3 straight up, with 50% more of the cash, 6 and 3 straight up, and priced less than -130, 8 and 3 straight up. I like the spot for the Marlins. And I want to attack Bassett. 6 starts. He's got a 5.18 xERA. He's, I think, the prototypical below average pitcher now. We can point to Bassett as being who that guy is. We continue to fade him successfully versus left-handed hitters. He's got a 2.41 whip. And he's coming off a good start, too. 6.2 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 earned run against Houston. Miami's 11th versus right-hand pitching on the season with 104 WRC plus. They're probably more of an average team against right-handed pitching. Alcantara, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't get a chance to watch him until recently, and now I feel like I know what to expect. He's got a 1.16 whip, 3.04 ERA, 3.19 xERA, and he's pretty much returning to his Cy Young form. His barrel percentage got cut in half from 8 to 4. The velo is up on his fastball, up 2 to 3 miles an hour. He's not getting a lot of swings and misses like he was historically, but he's not giving up any hard contact. And he's been great at home. And this Baltimore's offense, I wanted to believe that they're going to be better. I was fading the shit out of them in New York. And I'm going to be fading them again here tonight. So I was betting this at a completely different number. But like I said, based on this market profile, historically, -150 is around my stop point. So I'm looking at -138. You're looking at probably better than that offshore. I might dabble with it. What up, Post Horse? You're on the wrong side of the UCL today. Need to come back. Yeah, we're going to come back, Johnny. We're going to come back today, Johnny. Orioles have won the last 4 Bassett starts. Oh, no, wager. Don't do it. Don't come in here preaching Bassett. We're pro Marlins today. Pro Marlins. All right, let's keep getting it. We got the Twins versus the Nationals, and this is a game that just kept moving. I had to keep coming back to reprofiling this game. We're seeing a ton of moves. This showing -105. I'm actually seeing this start to dip a little bit lower now, pretty much market wide. 43% of bets, 30% of cash on the Nationals per action. 31% of bets, 23% of cash on the Nationals per odds logic. We're seeing a big move towards the Twins, up to 20 cents now. They open -118. You're looking at -105. That's 15 cents, but it's up to 20 cents at this point, pretty much market wide, ranging between 10 and 20 cents, but still big move here. But now that we're down to this minus 105 range, and you look at the market history progression, 56%, looking at the home team money line, 56%, 59%, 64%, 71% in favor of Washington. It was a really sensitive price range, right? When it's around that pick 'em, minus 110, minus 112, it's so hard to profile because these small little minute changes completely changes the complexion of the market. I talk about this pretty much once a week, every time I'm on the show. But yeah, I'm looking at this number now and I'm saying this has moved too far. I would only be looking towards the Nationals. Bradley's a pitcher. His underlying metrics say regression is looming. He's got a 2.85 ERA with a 4.0 xERA, but he's consistently going 6 innings of 2-run baseball. He has the propensity to get blown up, but he's been reliable. And Washington hits left-handed hitters. Is the third highest clip in the league, well below average for his right-handed pitching. Yeah. So, yeah, that's another thing is Washington actually is way stronger against left-handed pitching, which is surprising to see given the first 4 hitters in their lineup, or 4 of their first 5, bat from the left-handed side of the plate. Yet they're crushing left-handed pitching, and they're struggling versus right-handed pitching. Really confusing, and one of the reasons I didn't move on this. Also, the Nationals' home games are just – it's a free-for-all. I don't know what to expect anymore. They just live in outlier territory at home. Cavalli – I feel like he's going to be good. And this is another situation. 1.66 whip, 1.66 with a 3.78 xERA. How does that work? High whip, it just doesn't make sense. Not very intuitive to see such a high whip and such a low xERA. But he's progressed, obviously, year over year as a pitcher. And Minnesota versus right-handed pitching, we know they've been hitting left-handed pitching, or they were hitting left-handed pitching hard. But right-handed pitching, they're bottom 5 in baseball the past 2 weeks and the full season. So based on the starting pitching matchup, I kind of want the under. If we start, I said that I'd probably be moving on this if we started seeing 9.5s pop, but I do think the Nationals. So I'm leaning Nationals and under. I have not moved in that game, and maybe I can move on that game before the end of the show. Can anybody talk me off of that? Twins first 5. Yeah. Cavalli, Bradley's been great. And the right-handed pitching, I just don't know why they can't hit. Like in my mind, I'm trying to justify a bet on the Nationals, and I'm thinking, oh well, they're going to have favorable regression, upward mobility when it comes to bats against right-handed pitching, the Nationals. But we haven't seen that. So yeah, and maybe if that's the case, I should stay off the under as well. Because if I expect regression, then this number is going to be probably too low and is probably high for a reason, 9.5. But like I said, like these moves from 9 to 9.5, or even when the 8.5 goes through the 9 to 9.5, a lot of times those games go under. Yeah, those moves to the over. Chasing steam is never good in those spots. And it's not just under by a half a run. Like they're going under by margin. Natty's money line, no bet. Yeah, first 5 under more. Shit. Yeah, I really want action in that game for some reason, but I don't know if I'm going to have the guts to move. But a game I did have the guts to move on, and I moved heavily on, is the Yankees versus the Rangers. And it's no surprise to see at action 80% plus of the bets and cash is coming on the Yankees. And odds logic, it's 50-50 betting splits, but 31% of the cash is on the Yankees. So sharp action is coming in on the Rangers. And we're seeing mixed signals, and now so the Yankees are back up to minus 136. And let's see where this first 5 line is, because this was probably one of the most bullish spots I had all day. Let's see where this first 5 line exists for the Rangers, and they're still at minus 130. So look at these 3 offshores showed Rangers first 5 opening minus 105 and getting bet up to minus 130, whereas the full game line is moving towards the Yankees. I alluded to it in my opening. This is the first 5 discrepancy that I look for and that I've been hammering. And I feel like it makes more sense in this matchup than most. We're seeing what is the criteria for the first 5 discrepancy signal? It is the first 5 line moving towards one side, the full game line moving towards the other side, and a 15-cent price difference between the first 5 and the full game. We meet all 3 criteria very, very easily in this spot. And immediately I knew it warranted 1 unit on the first 5 money line. However, I think about what we just seen between these 2 pitchers who have just seen these 2 lineups. And I was peeking in and out of Jimmy's show earlier, and he was hitting this on the head. Who's got more tricks? Who's got more in their bag to deal with the lineup the second time after just seeing them in their last start? It's DeGrom. It's a seasoned vet. It's a guy who could throw a slider to the left-handed hitters over and over and over again and still have a 0.74 whip. His slider is the best off-speed pitch to left-handed hitters in the MLB. And someone's going to have to prove me differently with some analytics or something, because it's truly insane. And this red hot Yankees offense, I kind of want to fade it. I've been backing them, right? They've kind of gotten back on my good side lately. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like this first five line is more than just telling. It's a must bet. And on the other side, you got Rodriguez. We only got one start, right? He had a 2.0 whip, a 6.22 xERA. He allowed some runs, and really because he was walking batters. His pitch mix just looked completely off to me, and I wish I could compare to what he was throwing in the minors. To right-handed hitters, he's throwing sinker slider 100% of the time. To left-handed hitters, fastball, and then a balance between the curve, the change, and the sinker. It just looked like something was off with his pitch mix. He's able to limit hard contact, but that's not a surprise. He walked 4 batters in 4 innings, so he wasn't confident enough to attack the zone. That's first and foremost. And I think there's really one of 2 outcomes today. He's going to eat around the edges, stay out of the zone, and continue to walk batters and put himself in danger, or he's going to attack the zone and get sparked by this Rangers offense who just seen him. The first 5 discrepancy, you just cannot ignore it. And I moved heavily on the Rangers first 5 money line. And BetMGM was hanging a -102. There's a few -105s. And now it's just gotten completely out of control. Let's see what it is at the public shops, who might be giving you a better price in this game. Public shops, with the Yankees game, especially in the first 5, the derivative markets, you'll find more value because the Yankees are a very public team. We all know that. No, you're seeing money -120, -125 market wide. So I got the Rangers first 5 money line -102 for 2 units. Maybe it's just a 1 unit play at -125. But I also had the Yankees team total under 4.5. I was betting that at -130. I only got that for a half a unit because I do think that if they're not going to win the first 5, I feel like there's pretty heavy profile for the under in this game. So I love this spot. Mr. Sparkle, I think it's 100%. You got it. Like, in my opinion, there's no way I wouldn't bet this. This line could be -160, and I would be betting at least 1 unit on the Rangers first 5. And the last time our guy DeGrom was in the first 5 market discrepancy, he cashed with ease. It was a 6-1 final in the first 5. It's frequent that we see him in it because he's such a good pitcher. So we got another one coming up. Last game on the board. Love the Tigers today. Tigers 9-1 is home favorite. True Teller, what's good? Good to see you, man. Rob McMahon, fuck, I'm late. Well, I'm glad you're pissed, but don't rewind yet. Stay with us. Stay with us for right now. And then rewind after the show, unless you need to get your action in. Do whatever you want, man. I'm just glad you're here. All right, Cubs versus Reds. This is my Cubby team. Cubs playing. I got my my jersey on. If I'm a fan of any team, it's the Chicago Cubs. It's not the Chicago Bears. It's not the Chicago White Sox. It's certainly not the damn Chicago Bulls. It's Chicago Cubs. And why is that? It's because they fill the seats, whether they're good or bad. They sing the song when they win. It's a home environment like there's nothing else in the MLB at the Wrigley Field. And that's why I've been backing them at home day in and day out for multiple years and winning consistently when doing it and sizing up when we see markets at Wrigley like we seen yesterday with a total over 8.5. When you see a total over 8.5, 9 or better at Wrigley, you just automatically, it's just like the first 5 discrepancy. Bet the Cubs on the money line. The line's moving their way, bet 2 units on the Cubs money line. If the line's moving their way with a high total and they're big home favorites, hammer it. Unload the clip, max bet it. And this is a little bit different situation, right? Because, this is not the situation where I'd be hammering the Chicago Cubs. I don't like the fact that we're seeing a move to the under. This is a price range. This opening price range is a little bit sketchy. And if you look at the range of this in the database, the market history, the Cubs money line ranges from 55 to 65%. That's just a massive gap. And the over has been much more consistently, to be honest. But basically, if we include the opening line in this situation, the Cubs profile much closer to 55%. If we omit the opening line, the Cubs profile much closer to 65%. In either case, the over profiles is plus EV. So the over is definitely profiling as the best play to make in this spot. I'm just not very I'm not completely confident in this market, but I've been talking about this Reds team experiencing regression for too long now. It's about to hit. I feel like the Reds were the most fraudulent team with the record that they were posting just a few days ago. Now they have taken some losses in a row, but their pitching has been vastly outperforming. Their lineup leaves a lot to be desired. And Taillon is a pitcher that I believe is, I talked about the prototypical below average pitcher with Bassett. I think Taillon is your prototypical slightly, I would say he's average, but depending on the weather and the situation, he could be great because we know that at home, Taillon has been lights out, particularly when the total is under 9. His only bad starts at home over the past 2 years, there was double-digit totals. Cincinnati versus right-handed pitching is league average, and if you look at the other side, you got Andrew Abbott, who we thought regression was going to come for a long time ago, but his fall from grace this season has been harsh. Both ERA, xERA is up over 2 earned runs this season. He's getting hit harder. He's walking more batters. His K rate's down from 22% to 15%. He has only 2 good outings on the season. 2. It was against the Twins. There's only 2 good road starts. His only 2 good road starts were the Twins and the Marlins. And, the Cubs are a completely different planet. Cubs are number 1 in the MLB versus left-handed pitching on the season, second since mid-April. And on paper, the Reds have a better bullpen, but the Cubs bullpen is just facing so many injuries with Bar. I mean, there's just a laundry list of guys in this pitching staff. Could you imagine if the Cubs were full strength right now, how good they would be? If it's not broken, I'm not going to fix it. I posted the Cubs money line when it was minus 157 early in the morning. And I don't know. I got the Cubs, Phillies money line parlay. Maybe that's the best way to play it. This is starting to be a little bit of a heavy price for such a low total. And dropping. It's 80 plus here in Philly. Damn, that's not good for an under better. But that's also, like I want to incorporate weather into my database so bad. It's just I have over 5,500 games in my sample already with no weather. It's almost like I'm too late to start. So I got to try to figure out a best way to leverage AI to kind of get weather plugged in there, because if weather is driving this total up, that's what we've seen. Like some parks it matters, some parks it doesn't. Other parks it matters way more than others, So definitely a tricky situation with the weather situation pretty much everywhere. But in that game in particular, like what has weather done? How does that incorporated, how has that dictated the result? Is there any correlation? I would love to see it. All right, let's get over to one of my favorite games. And this is a game I posted on X yesterday. We got the Royals and the Guardians. And we got 68% of bets, 67% of cash coming in on the Guardians. We got Odds Logic, 55% of bets, 80% of cash on the Royals. So 55% of bets on the Guardians, but the cash is coming on the Royals. And this is one that was clear as day. This was my CLV grab play of the day. I had expectation that we were going to capture CLV and close in a favorable market environment, which is exactly what we got. I projected that this would close at minus 107. We're well on our way. I know that what we're showing on screen is what I would use to populate my database. I'm showing a plus 104 to a minus 102. So we're seeing a 6-cent move. Let's get 5 more cents so I could look smart for once. So, yeah, if you look at divisional home teams that open between minus 105 and plus 115, so short home dog, but close between minus 110 and plus 110, they're 84 and 65 straight up, so 56%. So if you're getting plus 100, if you're getting, plus 100 on a bet that's hitting 56% of the time in a 150 game sample, I'd say that's pretty damn good. But now what happens if the total's 8 or less, implying good pitching? 42 and 23 straight up, 65%. There's so much value, I feel like, to be realized in this game. And I like the pitching matchup. Williams is one of the guys I've backed. I bet it's hard to imagine anybody's backed Gavin Williams more than I have. And he's continued to fill our pockets. The only time I faded him, it was in a very similar market in Toronto. I faded him and I took the over and he got shelled. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen in this spot. He had his season's been incredible so far. And he's obviously got wicked stuff. A 102 whip. 2.70 ERA, 3.75 xERA. So yeah, he's due to regress, but to regress to a well above average type of pitcher, struggles significantly. And this is what I liked about this spot. Struggles against right-handed hitters way more than he does left-handed hitters. Kansas City is right-handed dominant team. So is Toronto, the team that got to him. And he got hit up in his 2 last road starts, Toronto and STL. So I look at this price with Williams versus Kolek. Like Kolek hasn't pitched, right? First start. I'm seeing relative to the cash flow. How can you not flip to being a mega bull on KCR? The Kansas City Royals. The Royals are about league average versus right-handed pitching. And Kolek, first start of the season, but I like this kid. Last year, 19 starts, 1.14 whip, 3.51 ERA, 4.30 xERA. He has a pitch mix and sequencing that gives Cleveland trouble. We've seen it yesterday with Waka. Guardians are full of left-handed bats. What does a right-handed pitcher need to do to perform well? He needs a good fastball and changeup. You don't need a changeup. You need a good fastball off-speed combo to throw to him. Unless you're DeGrom, you can just throw sliders to left-hand hitters at will. But I believe that we're going to see a lot of what we've seen yesterday. Waka threw a really good game. I believe Kolek could throw a pretty good game. And I moved on the Royals money line plus 104. And I pretty hammered it. I hammered this spot. I like the Royals. I was betting plus 104. I think close is minus 107. So you can still get a little bit of edge based on line movement alone. But regardless, as long as we're closing between minus 115 and plus 110, we're looking great. All right, let's keep running. We're kind of running a little bit behind here. Brewers cards postponed due to weather. That's a tricky spot, so I could actually skip that game. That was the next game up. Good call, Ryan Glover. I appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you saving me some time. So let's get right over to the Astros versus the Dodgers. And another game that posted 3 games on my CLV grab. The Royals, bet that the heaviest. The Marlins, bet that the second heaviest. Then I sprinkled a little half a unit on the Astros because I've seen that historically, home teams that open in this price range, the line moves towards the home team at a ridiculous rate. And I also seen that regardless of where the line moves in this spot, the home team profiles as plus EV. So, and it's truly shocking, right? Here's some data for you. Plus, when a home team opens, a team that closes over plus 175, they're winning 34% of the time. It's right on break even, right? So the line is extremely sharp. But if the total is between 8 and 9, they're 24 and 33, 42%. That's plus 8% versus the implied odds. And if the line is moving towards the road team, the home team is 18 and 21, 46%. That's plus 12% versus the implied odds. And why does the total matter? Because that total being 8.5, and let's see where that juice is going here in this game. It's juice towards the under. So that's telling me that we're going to see a reasonably good start from the big home dog, which means there's going to be less volatility in this game than you might think. And I look at Lambert with 3 starts, a 1.24 whip, a 3.52 ERA, and a 2.98 xERA. He missed the entire 2025 season, so it's not like he's well known around the league and in the betting public. But he's been lights out versus left-handed hitters, and I love that. He's got a 154 opponent batting average, 1.0 whip. We know the Dodgers are left-handed hitter dominant. And the Dodgers' offense versus left-handed pitching, the mighty Dodgers, 17th with 96 WRC plus. I know we're going up against Ohtani. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. That's why we're paying plus 180. That's why we're getting plus 180, right? With you don't see that very often. Home dogs price in this range, and I think Jose was spot on. I agreed with what Jose was pitching today about Ohtani. Obviously, when he's clearly making a push to be the Cy Young, he wants to prove he's the best in the world. Not only is he the best offensive asset, but is the best pitcher in the world. And I feel like that's evidenced by how frequently he's out of the lineup. I feel like this has just got to be a play on the Astros money line. It's just too big of a number, and we know that the Dodgers bullpen leaves a lot to be desired as well. So if we can get a good start, keep it within 1-2 runs, we know the Astros are capable of putting up runs at home. So I like the Astros. I think there's value there. LJ for match. Ohtani pitches, game goes under. You know what, man? Shit. Maybe I'll have enough time at the end of the show to look at the under. LJ, I might take your lead there on that under. I think Ohtani's going to pitch a good game too. All right, let's keep running. Angels, White Sox. This is just funny to me. White Sox start winning some games, and they've been impressive, but now we're seeing 63% of bets, 96% of cash coming in on the White Sox. And this line is not really reacting. I mean, we're seeing between a 3 to 5 cent move in either direction. It's a really tricky line. And it's right around that pick'em line that I cannot get my arms around. But once we start plugging in, 50% of bets and the bigger bets are coming in on the road team, things change. The home team flips to 64% on the money line. So, and that's a wide range. It's a 125 game sample. The over-under back down to break even. So, I would be looking to fade Fetty. I know Fetty's a guy I like to back. but I can't do that in this market with all this sharp action. This line's barely moving. The Angels are still pretty much priced as favorites. Fetty is, he's better versus right-handed hitters, which is a favorable situation against this right-handed dominant lineup. The LA bats have kind of fallen off a cliff. But Fetty really hasn't seen the best lineups, but it's not like Los Angeles Angels are a really good lineup. So it's a really tricky spot. Then you got Aldegrari, whatever his name is, on the other side. He's only pitched 1.2 innings this season, and he got busted by the Yankees. And in his 5 career starts, he's got a 5.40 xERA, or a 4.52 xERA. So, and the White Sox have been mashing left-handed pitching. So I want to move on the Angels. There's just nothing there from a matchup standpoint that allows me to ride with the database in this spot. So I'm passing on that game completely. Database market history says one thing, the matchup says the other, and that's a case where I'm going to have to just pass. Be professional about it because the DGen in me wants to hammer the Angels. All right, we're doing okay on time. We'll get there. Okay. Diamondbacks versus Pirates. I'm shocked to see this. You don't see the public fading the Pirates that much anymore, but we're seeing it in this spot. And the line is moving with the public and with the sharp action. This line has moved 14 cents from -122 to -136. And we're, like I said, a lot of cash coming in on the D-backs, but the sharp action is coming in on the Pirates. And the bookies are scoffing at the sharp action, the bigger bets. And they're moving the line against them. That pretty much makes it a one-way or pass. Listen, I'm not going to go up against the bookies moving the number against the sharp line. I'm just not going to do it. And if you profile this game historically, you're right on the break-even mark. So you're going to be losing to the VIG in this game in the long run, or at least that's what it's been like through the first 300 games that I have in this market environment. Very common market that we're looking at here. Now, the 9 is a very tricky number to work around with the total. So that's another reason why I wanted to pass. Chandler's a guy people thought was elite after his few first starts. I've been fading him successfully. I bet against him 4 times in a row. I've won 3 of the last 4. He's reliant on fastball success. And on the other side, Erod, he's reliant on his changeup. Bubba Chandler's walk rate's way too high. He has a bright future, I do believe, but he's got to add a few more pitches to his mix. And Rodriguez, how about this guy, man? He got off to an incredible start. Against the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mets, 18-inning pitch, 13 hits, 1 whip, only 1 earned run. And the regression monster came and ate his ass up because on the season he's got a 5+ xERA. His ERA is up to 3. He has no velocity. He's completely dependent on his changeup. His walk rate's up from 8.5% to 11%. His K rate's down 6%. And Pitt's 9th versus left-handed pitching over the past 2 weeks. I would say the matchup favors Pittsburgh in this spot. But, maybe the over is the right way to play it. I lean Pirates. I lean over. We have a lot of time to work on this game still. That one don't pop off for a while. So haven't moved yet, but I am looking towards the Pirates and the over, but likely just focusing on the total. Versus A's, 7 straight lefties went under outs versus A's. Went under outs versus A's. How many lefties, Jermaine? How many lefties versus the A's? Do you mean the Angels, or are you talking about the Athletics? You're talking about Chris Sanchez versus the A's today. And I wonder how many of those games were at home in that AAA ballpark, if you have that. Okay, let's keep running. We got the Mariners and the Braves, and this Mariners team, I bet them basically 3 games in a row. Took it on the chin 2 games, where the game where there was the balk and then the air, and then they lost it, and they lost the lead in the 9th, lost in extras, and then I cashed with them yesterday. Completely fading the steam, but this is a little bit different situation. You'll never see any money or cash or bets coming in against the Braves at this point. A very tricky spot, historically speaking. There's a lot of ways this market can change, so I'm not going to touch on it very much. I do think there's going to be a lot of movement here before first pitch. Elder, this guy's been elite. There's no doubt about it. 2.98 xERA. He's got regression coming, right? He's got a 1.88 ERA, 2.98 xERA, but he's going to regress from a Cy Young winner to a Cy Young candidate. He's been great on the road. He's got reverse splits, much better versus left-handed hitters. And the Mariners are left-handed hitter dominant. So it's a tough spot for him, I believe. I do think he's been pretty damn good. And Kirby's seen a lot of bad lineups, so it's hard to really put a lot of – we know he's a good pitcher, though. But he's seen a lot of bad lineups. And the only lineup that he's seen that's any good that's like kind to Atlanta is New York, and they slice them up for 4 runs. So it's a really tough spot. I'm uncomfortable moving on this game. Very uncomfortable at the current price. So this is definitely a pass for me. And that'll lead me into my last spot, the Giants and the Dodgers. I'm going to come back to that on the A's. I'm going to come back to that, Jermaine. Good point. I love it. Love it. So we have Giants, Padres. And again, we have the first 5 discrepancy. We're seeing 49% of bets, 21% of cash on the Giants. Odds Logic, 72% of bets, 33% of cash on the Giants. Full game wise, you can see right there, we're seeing a 3-cent move away from the Giants, so towards the Padres. But if you look at the first 5, we're seeing a 10-cent move towards Webb. And immediately that warrants a 1-unit bet. But the more I started digging into it, the more I liked it. I like seeing this total very low. I like seeing this game in division. And, basically the market history would suggest we're looking at under. We're looking at Giants first 5 in this game. I moved on the Giants first 5 for 2 units. And I'm getting a message now that is Buehler out of this game? He's still showing that he's in the lineup, but I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. I got a pretty respected source saying that might not be the case. And yeah, that's not a confirmed lineup. So maybe Walker Buehler doesn't go. Maybe it's Giolito, and that's not going to be good because it's going to ruin my action. Giants first 5 on my card. Let's go, Top Set. Thank you, Wager. Thank you. Appreciate you. I'll just talk about Webb because I think Buehler's a gas can, right? He's had 2 roads. Buehler, if we get Buehler 2 road starts this season, it's Colorado, 2.2 inning pitch, 8 hits, 3 walks, 4 earned runs. But give him a break, right? It's Mile High. How about against Boston on the road? The only other road game that we have from this season, 2.2 inning pitch, 3 hits, 3 walks, 4 earned runs. We need to fade Buehler. By the 3rd or 4th inning, this guy's velocity drops by 3 or 4 miles per hour. He can't throw his off speed for strikes after throwing like 30 pitches. So, and I want to back Webb. He's coming off a few good starts at home. The Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees. The Yankees got to him, but he pitched gems versus the Dodgers and the Mets. I think the Giants' first 5 money line is going to be worth the play, depending on what we see with this pitching matchup. I mean, where the line moves. I mean, I bet Giants first 5 money line minus 145. So that's the MLB. I really want to come back to that athletic spot and see what Jermaine was talking about, but I got to finish up this slate. We still got 3 games on the card to hit. Let's go to the NBA. We got the Pistons versus the Cavs, and this, to be honest, like I was really focusing on the Knicks, the T-Wolves, and the 76ers series, and that's where all of them landed on Tuesday and Thursday. I'm really focused on MLB, so I'm only capping NBA when I'm doing this show. And I had a great first round, but those are the teams I'm very familiar with, not these 2. We're seeing a really 50-50 splits when we're looking at cash flow for the Pistons and the Cavs. This open 3.5, in between 3.25, it's kind of remained pretty neutral. And I feel like whoever was going to be at home in game 1 of this series was going to be laying 3.5. And I bet you if we flip now, it could change now because someone could get blown out and there could be an overreaction. I get it. The market history, so if you look at the line functionality, it's really hard to look at because it's not like the regular season games mattered because everyone's load managing. But the dog covered all 3 games in the regular season. It feels like an extremely sharp opening line, though. There's not a lot of movement. Action's 50-50. This market's probably extremely efficient. It's probably going to land pretty close to where the number lands, so 3.5, around there. So we have a neutral market, but a Cavs team that I don't think has the composition of an NBA champion. The addition of James Harden is pretty laughable. We've seen this Cavs roster, beat their head against the ceiling every single year. And I think it's because Donovan Mitchell is their A1. He's their best player. He's who they rely on. And I feel like he makes bad decisions with the ball in the most important moments of the game. And you got a Pistons team that, in my opinion, they're incredible at all the things I value most, which is the hustle categories, especially in the NBA. Defensive efficiency, rebounding, blocks, steals. Now, I would think the Pistons are going to take game 1. The Pistons also lost game 1 of their last series, so I bet you they're coming in tonight like, we can't give up game 1 and let that series run get 7 games. I think Detroit Pistons are the better team, but there's not a lot of signals outside of my raw take on the roster composition and my belief that Donovan Mitchell is not the A1 guy that's going to lead you to the promised land. Detroit basketball, AOD. Let's go. That makes me want to put a unit down, bro. Down Rich under 4.5 rebounds plus 111. Interesting. Sparkle's attacking the prop market, and he's attacking 2 unders. Wow. Just a ton of respect. Sharp guy right there. Sharp guy right there. The DG, the Dennis Garcia experiment, he backs. We have a guy in here, Mr. Sparkle, in our community, Dennis Garcia, who bets the under on every single player prop, the point under on every prop in every playoff game. And he's made a shit ton of money off of it. I think he had one bad year, but that didn't make up for the 5 years of running up the tab on the books. Sorry, assists. So Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists. Yeah, you know he's not passing the damn ball, man. He's not passing the ball. I like that look. I do like that look. I don't know enough about it, but it does seem really, really good to me. I really like that. And Strus doesn't hit 8 threes. Yeah. Strus doesn't hit 8 threes. You know, Strus grew up in my neighborhood. His dad worked for my company. John Strus. He was one of our best salesmen. And so Strus is a household name over here. All right, we got the Thunder and the Lakers. 34% of bets and cash coming in on OKC per Action Network. Odds Logic, 65% of bets, 94% of cash is on like the Lakers. Did I mark that right? I thought we had a split decision here. Yeah, 64% of bets, 91% of cash is coming on OKC. So the public shops, everyone's backing the Lakers. They're seeing this big number, 15.5. They're like, there's too much value. LeBron. And then the sharper side of things is coming in and hammering. They're like, okay, 15.5. We like this number. We like this number at 5 possessions. We're going to bet it and bet it heavily. It's pretty insane to me to see that. Total opened up to 13.5, and we've been pretty stagnant. The side has been pretty stagnant. Now, some books opened this at 14.5 and got betted up to 15.5. I look at these two rosters, and to be honest, I'm shocked to see the Lakers catching full 5 possessions. I know they're not getting Doncic. The spread is so egregious. I can't help but like it just opens my eyes. Like I have an instant attraction and want to bet the dog in this spot. But at the same time, like I built the database for a reason, and this line is it's justified one way or the other, however you want to slice it. During the regular season, I found this to be interesting. First game, OKC was laying 6.5. They won by 9. Then they were laying 8.5. They won by 44. Then 18.5. They won by 36. Now we're getting game 1 of the playoff series priced at 5 possessions. If I didn't know any better, I'd be on the Lakers in this spot. If I knew LeBron was going to give max effort on defense, which I don't think we're going to get, I might be able to pull the trigger. But the Lakers' offense is so reliant on getting into the paint, getting to the free throw line. And there's 2 categories where there's no room for that against OKC. They're number 2 in paint points allowed per game. They're number 1 in opponent 2-point field goal percentage, and they're top 10 in opponent free throws allowed. Like the line is telling me, and that little, I really believe that matchup to be true and a very heavy advantage towards OKC. I could only look to fade the Lakers, even though I want to bet them. I want to see the Lakers win that series, not because I'm a LeBron lover. I actually despise everyone that thinks LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, but we'll leave that conversation for another day. Let's see who on chat is on this game. Hard assists over here. I've been riding with finals. A lot of props, attacking props in this game. People in the chat, the PSR community. I would be leaning towards. So I'm leaning towards the 2 home favorites in game 1 to get the job done. Last game up on the card with 7 minutes remaining. We're going to head over to the NHL. We're going to look at the Avalanche versus the Wild, and the Wild, they were a team that I kind of wanted to back. A little bit of pizza money. I wish I had betted more. And in this spot, we're looking at 92% of bets, 72% of cash coming in on the Avs. This line opened minus 192. We saw 13 cents of movement earlier towards the Avs, but it's back to the open. 6.5 totals don't really move in the NHL very often, I've been noticing. And if you look back, game 1 of this series, they opened at minus 185. They got bet up to minus 205. They win 9-6. And it was it was a very close game. And then it was just an onslaught in the third period. Now we're looking at this open minus 192. All the action coming in on them. It's pretty flat. I would say this is a very neutral market. I would say line functionality is not really going to lead us to the promised land in this game. With the Wild winning series in the playoffs. I got a serious question for the chat. All my hockey guys out there, thinking about the Wild and like their expectations prior to this season beginning. Do you think they're happy as an organization, as a coaching staff, to win one series in the playoffs? Like, is that good enough? Because like, if that's the case, like this, especially like, I feel like this could just be another sweep for our guys in the Avalanche. I know my partner JTB, Jimmy the Bag, is on the Avalanche -1. Probably the only way I would look, because I just don't feel confident enough to really be able to beat these markets. I can't beat the NHL. I know that for a fact. So I just, looking at the metrics, if I didn't know any better, I would say that the Wild are a significantly less physical team than the Kings, and that's why we've seen them, the Avs be able to put up 9 goals in that first game. So really tricky spot, tricky spot. So the only action I'm thinking about adding here, well, there's a few spots. I'll be looking towards the Diamondbacks Pirates game. I'll be looking towards the Nationals game, but you got to get on those first 5 discrepancies with the Giants, with the Rangers. I believe you got to be on those spots. I think the Royals is a fantastic spot in the MLB. If you got big balls, you got brass balls, you're going to be betting the Astros today. I think there's a ton of opportunity on this card. I think the Wild are going to compete. Come on, Seaguy. Come on, Chris. I know you watch your hockey. So, Chris, you answer that question for me then. Wild, coming into the season, do you think that the Wild would have been like, if we win one playoff series, we're good? Like, that's a good season for us. Or is that not enough? Like, are they still hungry? Is what I would want to know if I was going to be betting that game. That's really what it would come down to for me. I want to know that they're highly motivated. They think they have a chance. They believe they should be there. And then I would consider moving on the Wild, but I'm not going to be fading my guy JTB. Nuh-uh. So that's going to close it up. It's going to wrap it up with the closing line for today, May 5th, 2026. I'm going to be on Pub Sports Radio later. I'm going to be hosting Betting with the Bag tonight, stepping in place for our guy Jimmy, who's going to be out on vacation for the remainder of the week. They also got eliminated in the first round. Yes, they got eliminated last year in the first round. So yeah, I would say that this is a step up, right? I don't know, man. It's a tough game. I like the Wild. I have a bias towards the Wild now. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today, though. I'm going to be back on live later at 10 p.m. Eastern talking about tomorrow's slate. And we're going to be looking at a lot of just trying to make bets that are going to get CLV and that are going to close in a good range, a profitable market historically. And we're going to be pulling the trigger tonight. I'm not going to be light. I'm not going to be hesitant. I'm going to be pulling the trigger. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate it. Top Set, Dizzy Donut. See, you got my boy Perk, Rob McMahon. So many guys. AOD, Jermaine. Just a lot of Mr. Sparkle. Good shit, man. Let's see more Mr. Sparkle in the chat. Wager Detective, my guys. I really appreciate it. LJ from H, that's the spot. Otani, I'm going to look at that under in the Astros game. I think that could be a really good look, because if I'm correctly remembering, I'll post it. If I'm going to move on that under, I'll post it. I'll post the profile, show you what it's looking like. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by and chat, showing support for me. I really appreciate you guys a lot. I put in a lot of work. I hope you appreciate what I do for everybody. I'll be here every single Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern to represent our Pub Sports Radio, our gang. And my guy, Peter Loshak, will be here every other day of the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to deliver the goods. I've been parked in this seat since 5 a.m. Usually this is my chance to get up, take a walk, smoke a doobie, do something like that, get out, get away for a little bit. But that's not going to be the case today. It's right back to the grind. Right back to the grind after this show. But now it's time to go watch our action, watch our hard work pay off, and our hard work turn into dollars in our pockets. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass on Thursday and tomorrow.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so, you know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby and the fam, Dutch Wine Time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.